Peter is still getting used to his life as the ultimate Spider-Man. So, how is he going to handle the supervillains that have set their sights on him? Welcome to the Comicstorian Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. If you enjoy this story, be sure to support the industry and go check it out at your local comic shop. Last time, the Green Goblin's identity was discovered by Ben and Jonah, as well as the plans behind the Maker and the Kingpin. Peter and Harry also had their first run-in with a member of the Sinister Six, which landed the Black Cat in the hospital. How will the villains retaliate, and what will our reporters do with their new discoveries? You'll find out today with Ultimate Spider-Man number 11 by Jonathan Hickman. I hope you enjoy. Spider-Man sighs as he looks down on the city and hangs up his phone. Still no word from Harry, who was supposed to meet him 2 hours ago. He keeps his eyes on the bank he's staking out as he taps another number into his phone. Desperate times, I suppose, he whispers to himself. The phone rings for a second before someone answers. Hello, this is Otto Octavius. Who's calling? Otto asks. Peter pauses for a moment. This is Spider-Man. I'm sure you're busy, but have you seen Harry? Spidey asks. Otto taps more buttons on his lab computers, pointing out to the hero that he isn't Harry's babysitter. Could you track the suit for me? Spidey asks. Otto sighs again. You're not gonna leave me alone until I do, are you? He asks. Nope, Peter tells him cheerfully. It takes only a moment for Otto to track the suit's signal, but before he can tell Spider-Man, the hero has to hang up the phone, because below him, 2 vans have pulled up to the bank, and masked criminals jump out and rush inside. Well, Harry, of all the stakeouts to stand me up on, it just so happens to be one where some real crime ensues, Spidey says as he leaps into the air and swings into action. He crashes through the front window of the bank, slamming into one of the inner demons and bringing him to the floor. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt your little escapades here, and sure, everyone has a problem with banks these days, but are guns really the answer? Spidey quips. The inner demons raise their guns and prepare to fire, but Spider-Man holds up his hands. Look, I know transaction fees are out of control, and God forbid you try and cash a check or withdraw money, but bank robberies never go well. So let's just put the weapons down and let these nice people go, Spidey says as he motions to the hostages on the floor. A red-headed woman sits up and glares at Spidey. Why don't you shut up? You're going to get everyone killed, she shouts. Spidey looks at her in shock before turning back to the inner demons. Okay, fine. You can keep her, but everyone else goes free, he suggests. The demons suddenly open fire, but Spidey is already on the move, leaping in the air and shooting his webs, knocking the guns away. 2 of the demons rush at him with energy swords, but he ducks and flips over their attacks, disarming them fast and bringing them down. Wow, are you guys terrible at fighting, or am I just getting way better at this? Spidey questions. But he turns to find another demon holding a gun to the red-headed woman. See? You idiot! I told you this was gonna happen! She shouts. The criminal pokes her with the pistol. Quiet! Either we leave with the money, Spider-Man, or she gets one in the head, the demon snaps. But Spidey shakes his head. While tempting, that totally goes against my save everyone no matter what ethos, Spidey says. He flips through the air and fires some more webs, stopping the goon from firing and the woman from talking. Spider-Man lands, admiring his handiwork, but someone calls out to him. It appears you've made short work of my men. I suppose that counts for something, Mr. Negative says as he walks out of the vault with more demons. Spider-Man looks him up and down. Whoa, look at you rocking the man bun. Bold choice. People are gonna love you in jail, Spidey notes to the superpowered criminal. Mr. Negative nods his head and walks towards Spider-Man calmly. You think you're the man to put me there? He asks. He looks around thoughtfully. And where is your green friend today? He asks. Afraid I'm flying solo on this one, Spidey notes. Mr. Negative smiles. The world seems to glow around him. It's a tough life being alone. Me? I never am, he says softly. Suddenly, hands are reaching for Spider-Man. He turns in shock to find the hostages have rushed at him, their eyes glowing with dark energy. "Stop! I'm on your side!" he shouts. He doesn't want to hurt them, and the civilians are beginning to tear at his costume, kicking and punching him. Mr. Negative turns away, walking out of the bank with his gang. "These people work for me now, doing the good work of stopping men like you," Negative calls over his shoulder. Later, Peter struggles through the window of his apartment and collapses onto the floor, his suit torn and his skin covered in scratches. He groans in the dark before sensing that he isn't alone. Opening one eye, he sees Mary Jane watching him from the couch. "Hey there," he says softly. She cocks an eyebrow at him. "Hey yourself, Tiger. Having a bad day at work?" she asks. Peter groans as he sits up, explaining to her about what happened, how he refused to fight back and hurt those innocent people. Mary Jane nods as she looks at her husband, explaining that she thinks she's been very understanding about all of this. "So, what should I do if I'm starting to freak out a little bit?" she asks. Peter looks down at his scratched up body. "Because of this?" he asks in surprise. He looks at his wife, telling her that he understands, but that he is doing what he is supposed to do. "Do you promise to tell me when I should get scared?" she asks softly. Peter nods his head in the dark. "Baby, if I ever come home and tell you it's time to run, be ready to run. But until then, please don't worry," he says as he hugs her, and they hold each other in the dark. Elsewhere in the city, Mr. Negative pours himself a drink, undisturbed by the Kingpin's glare. "Do I understand you correctly? You had him, and you let him go?" he asks. "No, Kingpin. It was a stalemate. It took him less than a minute to defeat almost all of my men. So I took the liberty the rabble gave me and withdrew from the conflict," Mr. Negative says with a shrug as he sips his drink. Mole Man looks at him, questioning why Mr. Negative didn't merely take control of Spider-Man. "I can judge at a glance, Mole Man. As one measures determination, the Spider would do well in comparison to everyone in this room," he admits. Craven nods, pointing out that the Spider needs to die for what he did to Black Cat, and reducing the Six's number to 5. "No, I have not surrendered my seat," Walter Hardy tells him as he wheels into view, now paralyzed from the waist down. "Yes, I have my limitations, but when needed, my daughter Felicia will stand in my place," Walter says, motioning to his daughter who stands nearby. But Kingpin bangs his fist against the desk, gaining everyone's attention. He has become agitated with his sinister six. "Whatever distractions, plans, or agendas you might currently have, stop them all, now. My kingdom is in rebellion, and I will not be pleased until their bodies are laid before me," he growls to the group. Meanwhile, darkness has fallen, and Peter meets his uncle at the memorial for the city. His phone buzzes as he draws close, and he looks down at a message from Harry saying that he'll meet him soon. Peter stops at the memorial and greets his uncle. He places flowers underneath, meant for Aunt May. "Hey, are you sure you don't want to come tomorrow? That's the official date. Everyone will be here. Even the mayor will speak," Peter says. But Ben shakes his head. "I'm not for the show, kiddo," he says. The two exchange memories of Aunt May for a moment before Ben turns to look at Peter. "She'd love what you're doing," he says softly. Peter smiles and nods. "Yeah, she always liked my photos," he says. But Ben shakes his head. "That's not what I'm talking about," he tells Peter. Peter stares at him for a moment as the thought sinks in. He doesn't try to argue and just nods. Ben smiles and looks back at the memorial. "It took me about a week after we figured out who Harry was," he admits. He asks Peter how many people know and tells him that he needs to keep this a secret from everyone else. "Do not tell anyone else. Keeping this secret could save your life, your lives. You have to try harder, Peter," Ben tells him. Peter's phone buzzes again with a message from Harry. "I gotta go," Peter tells Ben, who nods sagely. "Sure, go do some good, kiddo," Ben says with a smile. Peter leaves him there, staring at the memorial for the people lost in the attack. The attack that was blamed on Tony Stark. But Peter and Ben know the truth. And so it continues. Peter is still getting his footing as Spider-Man, and now even Uncle Ben knows his identity. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a like and leave a comment down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel because it really helps us out a lot. And we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.